I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll fight
for my brothers. We can go to war. Fighting for my father, I will give my life for. I feel so alone in this white man's world. Whip it in the kitchen, watch that white turn pearl. Standing on the corner, standing on my phone, standing with my gangsters, but I'm standing on my own. If you got to be his own, split you like you did alone. Sacrifice my life, understanding each his own. Toast to the keys of success. Bel Air rose on my breath. I've been a student since '03, and we can fight till we see peace.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Let me holler at you for a minute, give you game. Real scrappy, love the bottom, Buddha bang. Trigger happy, and everybody in the game. You shot your family and didn't even know it, man. Same rules, same code, with a different slang. Struck him out, and now they took him out the picture frame. Mama, don't cry, we gon' get by. 2 weeks later, got killed in a drive. Why? Must we fight amongst each other? Reach one, each one, teach one, my brother. I teach them how to fight on the grass and in the class. Snoop Dogg, all stars, yes sir, they coming fast. D1, football, we won. Now proud of my son, Lil Snoop, yes sir, cause he won. Right on, SC, fight on. We 100, keep it coming, dip, slip, slide on, light on.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Watching the warriors, the story of the rebels. You from the ghetto, did you know never to settle? I'm shooting common on the streets, I'm a pharaoh. Battling in African-American apparel. Fists on a t-shirt, youngins doing street work. Grinding till they teeth hurt, that's because they need work. Working till the feet hurt, trying to get my soul right. Used to be on old bikes, serving them that cold white. Wars in the winters, the block is hot in summers. Today's mathematics, we know it's strength in numbers. To the bosses and the runners, the hustlers and the stunners. We fight for the hundreds, we fight for the oneness.
He fights with the heat. He fights with the sleet. He said, I am who I am. I can't be beat. Nobody has won a war against me. I fight like that. 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 I fight. All of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many, and the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life. then it is easy for another human being to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. The government is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's world is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace, under real freedom, real justice, and real equality. This city has always fascinated me, the city of Frankfurt, known to be a city of trade and economic growth. As a kid, I was amazed by handing over pieces of paper for ice cream, toys, and candy. Handing over such a paper and receiving a toy racetrack in return, I just could not believe it. Where could I get this magic paper? This idea I couldn't get out of my mind. I started asking questions and read every book I could find. I learned the money was backed by gold as a paper form to save us carrying it around. Something of real value behind the paper. But everything was changed. The value was capped, and the gold standard, as it was called, was abolished. Since then, the value of money has been the biggest lie of all. The dollar bill is now just a paper subject to inflation and devaluation. This must stop. The solution returning to a piece of gold that you can actually hold and it holds value or even better cash gold. Paper pressed and refined with real gold. A masterpiece solution, a forgery proof, totally digital cryptocurrency. Here I am in the city of money, but not as a banker or a gold dealer. The Frankfurter Book Fair has invited me to read from my books that will help the world believe in gold again. Think Big will help show people how to be successful. I am very proud to be here. So they gave me a subject to talk on. I said, boy, this is a rough one here. Business is warfare. Okay. Brother Samuel, you kind of hooked me up with this. Now, when you think of warfare, you think of shedding blood and of course you're such a tender-hearted, sweet people, except when you deal with yourself. You're very hard with each other, but you seem a little weak in the face of your 400-year-old enemy. Business is warfare. Okay, let's start where warfare starts. Did you know that when God created this beautiful body, He created things in it to fight for it? So you can't get a fever, or you can't get an infection, or something disturbing your equilibrium, and something inside don't lay down and say, wow, I got a fever. War starts. The white blood cells start attacking what's attacking you. See, your body is more sense than you. Did I say something wrong? Now, your cell will fight the enemy of its life. But we lay down in the face of the enemy who wants to take our life. So if this is a busy body, and everything in here is actively working to preserve and maintain this life in this body, then the first warfare that goes on within the self. And you can't go to war with outside forces until you wake up to see that the only enemy you got is the enemy of yourself. Once we wake up, what is called the self-accusing spirit awakens in you. Now, some people say, you know, it's terrible that people have killed the prophets of God. And I ask you, if a messenger of God came to you and showed you a way to improve your life and make you a better human being in the eyes of God, would you kill such a person? Would you? You sure? Are you really sure? Brothers and sisters, we kill the messenger of God every day. Do you know that inside you, God has put himself? How could you be made in his image and after his likeness and he not be in you? Well, you may ask, well, how is God in me? See, if you notice, whenever you get ready to do something that is wrong, you don't need to open a book called Bible and read and say, ooh, I did something wrong. Something inside you starts talking to you about what you're doing to hurt you and others. That is the God within. They call it conscience. It's that inner voice of the Creator that is in us. When we silence the messenger of God within, then we can do evil and don't feel anything with the evil that we do. How did that happen? We let desire overcome us. And even though the messenger of God within will say, I wouldn't do that. Have you seen that pretty sister that's married? She lived right next door to you. And she really fine. She taking the garbage out and attracted the garbage in you. Now, you know that's a married sister. And sister, you know that's a married man. But that don't mean anything today. Everybody's fair game. And you can be married. The sister want to know, how married are you? Because I like that brother. She tell her other fellow sisters, ain't he fine? I'm going to see if I can get him. How you know you talk like that sometimes? But when you're awakened morally, something inside said, don't do that. And if you listen to the still small voice within, that voice will keep you going on a right path. But listen to this. Sometimes you know what you're doing is wrong. Now, I don't have notes. So when you hear me talking like this, I'm talking to somebody. I thought I would let you know. And if it touches you, it's for you. You got to get it together. Because no greatness is really great unless it's rooted in moral character and righteous conduct. You're not great. No liar, no thief, no whoremonger, no pimp, no dope seller can say I'm all right. You know you're not right. So when somebody points it out to you, you say, oh man, I don't hear that shit. I didn't come here to hear that. Excuse me, you did say it, you know. I heard you. Farrakhan getting in my business. But before I can get wisdom in you to do business that will make war on the sorry economic condition of our people, you have to understand how moral correctness will affect your economic condition. Did you know? I read the life of J.C. Penney. Is there a J.C. Penney store around here somewhere? Yeah? Did you know that Mr. Penney had a lot of sense? So Mr. Penney made a lot of dollars because he looked at his workers. And if the worker had an affair outside of his family, he would fire him. See, because affairs cost money. Ain't no woman coming giving you nothing for nothing. Did I say something wrong? Now, those of you who play a lot, you have to learn to pay a lot. That might stop you from playing a lot, because I don't know no woman that will give you pleasure for free for a long time. Maybe the first day or 2 or 3 or 4, maybe more. But then she's going to tell you, oh, honey, you know, my car note is due. In other words, you ain't getting nothing. You got to come up with something. My car note is due. I miss my rent. And I can't invite you to the bedroom if I can't have a house to invite you to. So can you help me with my rent? Now, the pleasure has worn off. Yeah. Now he got to go home to his family, shortchange his wife. Children need shoes. Wife needs something. But you've given the money for your family to somebody else for a moment of pleasure. See, conscience, when you're awakened, tells you, man, I could have some money in my pocket if I didn't have so many outside interests. Now, what has that got to do with business and warfare? See, the activity of life, this is what business is. The first four letters, B-U-S-I. The I is interchangeable with Y, busy. When you're doing nothing, you're not alive. A busy person has to be busy doing something that nature requires. Nature requires every living thing to do something for itself. It may be a worm, but it ain't looking to another way. Hey, you got anything for me? Look how silly you look. Big grown man or woman at Tennessee State, working on a degree and then going out begging somebody. You got a job for me? Suppose he told you, no, I ain't got no job for you. What you gonna do then? How are you gonna make a job for yourself? See, if this is what you come to Tennessee State for, to get education, to go out and beg the white man for a job, you in bad shape, brother and sister, because he don't have enough jobs for his millions of unemployed, and history says he will look out for himself first if you get a shake at all. So college has to prepare you for the reality of life, or these are plantations. Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. Business is warfare. You know, beloved brothers and sisters, when you start realizing the value of knowledge and how knowledge separates man from beast, then the search for and the acquisition of knowledge is what the battle of life is all about. When you come into this world, you come in knowing nothing, but there's an insatiable curiosity to know about this thing that we were given birth into. It's a huge book that you were born into. Now you come to college, you buy books. And I know your professors or whoever wrote the book, they're considered scholars. So you learn to quote what some scholar said. You're not trained to think and look deeply into what people say. So when you come out to hear Farrakhan, you know you're looking deep now. I wish you had questioned white folk like that, because you would not have been made the fool that we may have been made into today if you learn how to question what people tell you. Where did you come from? Who found you? Were you swinging in Africa with a bone in your nose? What kind of people were you before John Hawkins tricked us out of Africa and brought us on a westerly course? What kind of people were you? See, if you don't know what was, you can't appreciate what is, and you're not prepared for what is yet to come. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, when you go out in search for knowledge, you're in the path of God until you return. Because when you go out in search of knowledge, you never come back. Because there's so much knowledge out here in this vast creation of the almighty and wise God, that when you start searching, you keep finding, peeling it back more and more and more. Look at what's written in the Holy Quran. That's the book of scripture of Muslims. I'll be in and out of the Bible and the Holy Quran, because both books have something of value to say to us. Listen to these words. If all the trees were as pens, and all of the seas with 7 more seas added to it were ink, you could never exhaust the words of Allah God. And everything that he created is a word. How many words do you know? See, when you just look at your vocabulary, we know you're short on words. That's why every word, there's a cuss somewhere. Because you can't describe what you're really feeling. So you tell me that you expressing yourself, but knowledge is supposed to inform you of the things that God has created. Now look at this. He says in everything that he created, there's a lesson for man and woman if they would be mindful. How many of you have seen a worm and look at it, either walk around it, step on it, keep going? You didn't know what was in that worm. It's crawling, but it's your teacher. It's wiser than the professor that you're listening to, because that is a creature from God with a lesson in it for man, if man would understand. But we too busy looking up and miss what's on the ground. So the Bible says, hey, O thou sluggard, study the way of the ant and become, what's the next word? What? Wise. You mean if I studied an ant, I could become wise? The Jewish people are wise. every continent but you can't go in no continent and not find an ant. How did they get there? And you can't go nowhere on the earth and you will not find a Jewish presence. Business is warfare. Look at what I'm about to say. If you look at the ant, they say the ant is mimetic. I had to check that one out. I had never heard the term. See, whenever you want knowledge, you have to have a dictionary close by. Because people will say things and you know you didn't understand. So you start looking stupid right away. So every student should always have a dictionary. As you read and you come across a word that you don't understand, stop. Get the meaning of that word, then your interest is raised in the sentence and in the paragraph that you were reading. But when you miss a word and keep going, you can't even remember what you read because it didn't make too much sense. Too many unlearned words. Mimetic. See? Now, Jewish people are very wise. In every society, they're present. But you say, oh no, this one is Mexican. Yeah, right. A Mexican Jew. They have adapted like the ant to the culture, to the language. Is that bad? You are from all over the world. You find people of color everywhere, but you can't fit. Because all you speak is English and it's more Ebonics. But Jewish people study. So you find them in France, in England, in Belgium, in Italy, in Germany. You find them in Poland. You find them in Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, in Ukraine. You find them in Russia. But what they have in common is their Jewishness. So when you see them, how they work together for the common good of the Jewish people. And look at you. In America, they raise money for the Jews in Russia, and they raise billions of dollars because they're connected to their fellow brothers and sisters. What's your connection? You can't move from one neighborhood to another. Look how crazy this thing has become. You a Crip over here, a Blood over here, a Vice Lord over here, a black gangster disciple over here, and you got a little territory about the size of the square that I'm walking on. You function in this narrow part. Oh, buddy. But when you move into the next block, your life is in danger. White folk move all over the world. So something wrong with your knowledge if it limits you to Nashville or some little town. Business is really warfare, but it's the activity of life itself. You say, well, business means I need to open up a business. Okay, yeah, that's right. But real activity of life has to deal with all the essentials of life that we must provide for ourselves, our families, our future. I have something in my pocket that, gee, where is it? Oh, yeah. I have a gold coin. In 1961, I was sitting with Elijah Muhammad, and he took out of his pocket a gold coin. This is 1 ounce of gold, pure gold, okay? Mr. Muhammad put it on the table. He said, one day soon, this gold coin will be the new medium of exchange. White people are moving into the inner city. Some of them knocking on doors. They come with money and they ask you for your gold. Because what they're giving you, I think I got some of that in my pocket. Yeah, I think I do. Now this is paper. This is not real money. This is real money. Silver. That's real money. Now you young people, some of the elders in the audience, like myself, this used to be called a silver certificate. How many old people in here know when this was a silver certificate? And you know what it said on the bottom? Pay to the bearer on demand $50 in silver, the real money. This is what you call monopoly money. Oh, you didn't hear me. We're going to do some business tonight. Because business is really warfare. What's about to happen? This week it came out in the news that in 2016, all the major banks are in trouble. It started with J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. What makes a bank in trouble? When the value of the paper that they have begins to lose its value, then the bank is in serious trouble. And so are we who have our money in the bank. Now, white people that are in your neighborhood, they're in a pawn shop now, and they're telling you in the window, bring the gold, we got cash for you. They know you don't know that this is losing its value every day. but gold will increase in value. Now, this one here, I bought it today, or sent a brother to get it today, because I wanted to use it to explain something. 1 ounce of gold, this little piece right here, is $1,237 today. It went up to $1,800, but it began to fall. But when Elijah Muhammad put that gold coin on the table, an ounce of gold you could buy for $35 an ounce. Now, some troubling news tonight, because Saudi Arabia is upset with the U.S. Congress because they have bought $750 billion of U.S. bonds or assets in paper. And it is Saudi money, Chinese money, Japanese money that keeps America afloat. So the Congress is upset with Osama bin Laden and the family of Osama bin Laden. So when the Twin Towers went down, a lot of Osama's family were here. The government under George W. Bush put them on a plane and flew them back to Saudi Arabia. Now, the government don't tell you the real truth. And many in Congress, they just a bunch of silly people. Yeah, they are. They've been tricked and deceived. When they found Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, instead of killing him, they were able to capture him. And they could have brought him back to America and extracted from him all the so-called secrets of Al-Qaeda and whatnot, but they shot him dead. Why did they kill him? Because then they could tell you he was the mastermind of the fall of the Twin Towers. Are you ready? Some of the Arabs were in flight school. They hadn't graduated flying a Cessna. But they're going to tell you that with boxcar cutters, they got in an airplane and got control of the plane and flew a plane at 500 and some odd miles per hour and dropped the altitude down and then turned the plane and ran it into the World Trade Center. And naturally, I saw some of it. I was blown away. What is going on here? Guess what? There never has been a building made with the type of steel that skyscrapers are made with, that you could fly a plane into it and the gas in the plane create enough heat to melt that steel. When you saw the World Trade Tower come down, it came down right in its own footprint, like controlled what? like controlled what? Then the second tower fell in its footprint. Six hours later, the third tower, 47 floors, went down in its own footprint. No plane attacked that. And people said they heard explosions in the first tower, in the second tower, and in the third tower. And they found thermite. The whole idea of the government was to give America a reason to go to war, because war is profitable.
Peace. Strong words. Love. Soul. And change. Yeah. This is Big Snoop Dogg. Coming at you live and direct. And I got something to say. You dig?
Let's change the world. Divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars. Oh, let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Brother, brother, brother.
What will you discover if we come together and do it like we never? I'm just sick and tired. I'm fit to light the fire. Now put this on the wire. The devil is a liar. I do this with no hesitation. Meet me at the reservation. Elevating, educating, meditating, concentrating. Replenish ya, finish ya, opposite of sinister. And I do it for the minister.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Oh, oh, oh. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Somebody need to stop the war. Man, the war ain't overseas, it's at your front door. And I done seen too many brothers shot up on the floor for more than drugs and some colors. And now you call us warlords. But if you can help it, then help it. But you ain't helping us. You so selfish and selfless, you wanna see us breathless and helpless. But I'ma hustle to tussle for all my brothers who struggle. Yeah, we bang the world. Now let's change the world.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Oh, oh, oh. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
No killing, no shooting, no dying, no lying, no gang banging, so no more mamas crying. Everybody get along, man, that be the perfect song. Peace in the streets as I sit back on my phone, chilling with the president. He let me in the White House, back to the castle with the minister. No doubt, shoes at the front door. Love is what you come for. Let's get it right and unite, but do it fine.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.